Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Show. My name is Sahlin.
And I'm Elliot Stevenson. In business news, Target has announced it will be pulling all of its retail stores out of Canada. Unfortunately, Canada is already pregnant.
It's Girl Scout cookie season, everyone, and the Girl Scouts have rolled out 2 new kinds of gluten-free cookies, Toffee-tastics and Trios, which are great for people who don't want the gluten but still want the diabetes.
Speaking of diabetes, Dunkin' Donuts has announced it will be opening approximately 50 new stores in Minnesota over the coming year.
The North Star Line has instituted a new policy this year that says if your train is more than 11 minutes late, you're entitled to a full refund of your fare. In a follow-up story, the North Star Line has declared bankruptcy.
Sprint has recently apologized for advertisements they sent to members of the Somali community that contain pictures of various weapons that could be used to cut things in half, such as Sprint's customer base.
Some of the Black Lives Matter protesters have been banned from the Mall of America for up to 1 year. When asked how they felt about the ban, the protesters replied that they'd have to go somewhere else for their Cinnabon and fluorescent light headaches.
Surly Brewing Company has recently opened their new upscale brewery and taproom in the Northeast, making it a major player in the macro beer game. Unfortunately, the decision hasn't set so well with their customer base, a decidedly hipster population. For more on that, here's Karina's cousin, Heather. Thank you, Heather, for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Elliot.
Why is this not sitting so well with the hipster community?
Surly was our safe space when everyone else was drinking Budweiser and Natty Ice at parties. We had to find somewhere where we felt secure.
Well, can it still be your safe space? I mean, it's still a good beer. Isn't that the point of drinking the beer?
No, not with all those middle-aged dads on OkCupid dates trying to seem cool.
But maybe they're just there to drink the beer and aren't worried about what they look like and whether they're cool or not.
Well, then they're clearly in the wrong space. If you're gonna drink Surly, you have to be hip and like overly hopped beer and have enough money.
But that kind of describes middle-aged men, doesn't it? Besides the hip part, but that's not really the point of drinking beer, right?
That was entirely the point of drinking beer, Elliot. Okay?
Okay, that's fine. So what are the hipsters planning on doing then if they're gonna shun Surly?
This is our official call to action, hipsters. We're going back to macro. All the way back where we were in the 90s. And today, we're going all the way back.
Well, that seems a little against the point. You're going to drink crappy beer now?
I don't care what we drink as long as we're alone.
Okay, well, I mean, middle-aged men drink Miller Lite, you know?
No, they don't. Not the ones that we care about. So I am putting out a call to all the hipsters.
What was that?
That was called Electric Zipper Safari. It's our universal assembly tone. You probably can't hear it right because you look really uncool.
Well, I suppose that's possible, but I'm still a little confused at what's happening. Well, anyways, thank you, Heather, for being on the program.
You're welcome.
Beer news, a vending machine has recently been installed in the Xcel Energy Center that dispenses cans of Budweiser. The response to this was also not quite as positive as was hoped, mostly because hockey fans keep getting their arms stuck in the machine.
In international news, Russia has instated a ban that prevents drivers with sexual mental disorders from receiving driver's licenses. So it looks like everyone will be taking the bus now.
A Minnesota hen processing plant has been accused of allegedly drowning hens in hot, scalding water. When asked about these claims, a representative of the plant stated, "You would be quite surprised at what money can buy."
Alabama has a law in its books that requires unborn fetuses to have legal counsel. In a related story, a Birmingham uterus has been charged with a miscarriage of justice.
In local news, St. Paul Public Schools had an error in their payroll system, causing hundreds of employees to get paid on time.
We have a very exciting guest on the Minnesota Show today. From our neighboring state of Wisconsin, Governor Scott Walker is joining us to talk about his potential presidential run in 2016 and some of the budget issues that Wisconsin has been facing recently. Governor Walker?
Thank you, Karina, for having me on the show.
Of course. Can you shed any light on your rumors that you might be running for president in 2016?
You know, I would rather not talk about that. For me, my job is about what the people need and what the people want. And right now, they don't need to hear me talking about whether I am or whether I'm not going to go run for president. What's important is discussing the issues that they care about.
You know, that's interesting because you recently made a trip to London, and many suspected that had something to do with building your international credibility for a presidential run. Oh, what do you have to say about that?
I mean, we can talk about this all day if you want, but I thought you brought me on this show so that we could talk about the real issues. Me running for president is not what people talk about. I mean, you've been out up there on the road with me, talking to the people of Wisconsin. They don't care about whether I'm running for president or not. What they care about is whether they're going to get health insurance, where their money is going to come from, or whether their uncle is going to get a job anytime soon.
Okay, well, that's very interesting because you lag behind Minnesota in both job growth and economic security. How do you explain these differences when you are a conservative leader and we have Governor Dayton over here that, you know, has proved much more successful with his liberal policies?
Well, you see, a lot of the problem I have is a lot of the policies that were put in place by my predecessor did not put us up for success. And we've been working on changing that and getting things better. But it's a long battle and a hard fight that we're still working on.
Okay, well, what's interesting is you promised 2,500,000 private sector jobs upon your election, and you've only managed to produce 90,000. How do you explain that?
Well, you see, partially numbers lie. You have to look at the grand picture of things. Just because we've only produced 90,000 doesn't mean we're not going to reach our goal. The estimate is that we will, and we're going to continue working for that.
So Minnesota is ranked fifth out of 50 best states for business out of the entire nation, along with California. But Wisconsin is ranked 34th. I don't think your policies are working very effectively.
Like I said, my predecessor's policies are still taking effect, and we need to slowly work those out and set us up for success in the future. It's not about today or tomorrow. It's about 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What is best for this country?
Okay, what's a very interesting piece of legislation going through your house is the right to work bill. It sounds like union busting. What is your perspective on it?
Well, my opinion is everyone should have the choice whether or not they join a union. They shouldn't be forced into it. For instance, if Mary at the end of the year has $1,200 left, why should she be forced to put that towards her union dues? Maybe she doesn't want to be in the union. Maybe she wants to use that money to buy new clothes for her kids or be able to fix her tires on her car. Other things that aren't nearly as important as the unions.
Okay, well, speaking about children, you pulled $300 million out of the University of Wisconsin system. How do you explain that?
Well, you see, those budget cuts were necessary. We needed that money elsewhere, and the UW system was just really abusing the money we've been giving them. So what I've done is I put into place ways that they can use their budget cuts to their advantage. They can self-assess who needs to go and what programs need to be cut, and they can then do it, because they are, let's be honest, better at knowing what is needed for them than I am.
Okay, well, what's curious about that is that you put a proposal in for a $200 million basketball stadium for a franchise that's completely failing.
Well, here's the thing. That basketball franchise could be better, and we want it to. The players on that franchise bring so much money to us in taxes. So let's give them what they need. Let's give them a basketball arena that will make them better. And then eventually they can reach the status that the Packers have.
Okay, but a new arena isn't going to fix a failing basketball franchise.
Well, neither is a fat man dancing shirtless, but hey, Minnesota still gave it a try.
Okay, I think he's joking. He's joking, right? Thank you for joining us on the Minnesota Show. This is Governor Walker. I'm Karina Sahlin, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.